is your
Not confirmed. But
no, no, no. This
I
is
just saw it. I just saw it online, and I said it. I just saw it,
the-
read it, said it.
these are all rumors. We're just talking. That's
Yeah.
the whole thing. Hey, Slackers, thank you for watching Late for Practice, the show that interviews your favorite rugby professionals from all over the MLR. I'm your host, Will, and you may know today's guest from his time playing football at Colorado State, his Twitch gaming channel, or his illustrious career with the Utah Warriors and Dallas Jackals. Maybe you're even excited to see him play for the Miami Sharks. It's Alex Tucci, everybody. Alex, how you doing, man?
Doing great, doing great. Happy to be here.
Awesome, awesome. You started playing rugby at 14.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's early to play rugby in America and late to start playing football in America because that's when I started playing both sports. Obviously, football first because it was in the fall, and then spring was rugby. But the way it came about was like I said, I got done with my first year of football. Kind of, I mean, I liked it. Um, but then my friends were like, "What are you going to do in the spring?" And even coaches, they were like, "What are you going to do? Are you going to go run track, or not run track, but throw shot put and disc and stuff, or are you going to wrestle?" And none of those honestly sounded too appealing. Maybe wrestling, but I mean, even so, I was kind of just like, eh. I was even thinking basketball, and then one of my friends, Mikey Roman, he called me and was like, "Yo, you want to play rugby?" I was like, "Yeah, what is it?" He's like, "Here, watch the Here Comes the Boom video on YouTube." So he sent me that video. I watched it. I was like, "Yeah, that looks insane. It looks a lot of fun. Basically, it looked like backyard football for me." So went out to the first practice and then just stuck with it.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. So is it a bigger thing up there in New York, or was this in Florida?
This is in Florida. So I guess just so you know, I moved to Florida when I was 12. Before that, leading up until probably 13 years old, I played baseball strictly. That was like my sport, huge Yankee fan, like, the whole thing. That's all I played. And that's the real reason why my mom wanted to move me to Florida was just for the purpose of playing sports all year round because she knew how much I enjoyed baseball. I guess you can just see it. I was very interested in it, and it just, better lifestyle. Why not have like give your kids like somewhere to run around and play outside all year round, when in New York you get maybe a month of that. You get the spring kind of, and then the summer. So it was just a no-brainer her. And then yeah, they saw me playing baseball. They saw I was big and I was like quick and fast for my size, and they were like, I remember one of my coaches, he was like, "Yeah, go play football." I was like, "Well, why am I bad at baseball?" I was like, "No, you're not, but just go play football, you'll get a scholarship, like you'll get free college." And at that time you're like, huh? I mean, probably nowadays, like high school football is so blown up with like NIL and all the just media attention it gets. But back in the day, I was like, all right, I guess I'll go play football, and they loved me over there right from the start. And then, like I said, went right into rugby. Um, actually, Atlanta, well, used to be Atlanta's strength coach. I don't know if he's still with the team, if he's with the LA team anymore. Lucas Pastrocki, he um, he actually started the team in my high school.
You had an amazing high school football career. You got invited to the Aloha Prep Bowl. You represented the Mainlanders, I guess, is
Yeah,
how they
yeah.
kind of like separated it.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool experience, honestly, because like it was because my friend who was my punter at the time, DJ Sylvan, he like was like, "Yo, I got something for you." And I was like, "What do you got for me?" He's like, "I got something for you. This is like," he's like, "This would be sick." And I was like, "All right." And the thing was, me and DJ were like, we're friends, but we weren't like the best of friends. So when he was like, "I got something for you," I gotta like, and he puts me on the phone with this guy. He's like, "Hey, so and so from the Aloha Prep Bowl, and just want to invite you to be on, like, to come to Hawaii and play against the Hawaii all stars against the mainland. You be on the mainland team." And I was like, "Oh, that sounds great and all, but I don't have enough money to go to Hawaii and stuff." And they were like, "No, it's all paid for." And it's so funny thinking back to it. It's like when I went there were so many big names that were there from all over. I thought it was just like a an all-star game, like, nothing like an all-American one, but it was a lot of the people that were in the all-American game were in that Aloha Prep Bowl, because back in the day, I think you got like two All-Star games you can play in. So I was doing the Aloha Prep Bowl and then the Broward versus Dade All-Star game. But like I got to, yeah, just got to go to Hawaii for free, and honestly play around some like future NFL players. A lot of them went on to be NFL players, which is pretty crazy.
So
And
sick.
just like shot out of it was so funny. It was just such a funny experience. Like I remember even like sitting there in the locker room, they're like pumping us up. They're like, "Where are you going to school?" And this guy's like, Washington. So he's like, "Where are you going to school?" He's like, "Michigan." He's like, "Where are you going?" "Ole Miss." And they're like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "Colorado State."
But you went to Colorado State.
Yeah,
You got your scholarship there, man.
yeah.
How was that? I mean, do you have opinions about the Colorado State games that are
I
going on
mean,
now?
that it's honestly so cool to see like this past year, especially because Dion was at Colorado. How much like how many people watched or gave a shit about Colorado versus Colorado State? And I just think that's awesome for one, the state of Colorado, two, because I went to that school and I was just like, I consider like all places that I've lived pretty much for more than like a year, 2 years, you kind of grow like an attachment to them in a way, or at least that's how I feel. And like they're just places that you called home for a good bit of time. So and then thirdly, that was my first start ever in college football was the Rocky Mountain Showdown in Invesco Field, and we ended up winning that year too. So it was just awesome. I got like a sack the first like three plays of the game, and it's so funny how things happen back in the past. Like it's almost like I did it without even thinking. Where now, obviously, I'm more like goal oriented, things like that. I can like I have a plan of things. Some things just like kind of happen, but I guess it just comes out like probably all the hard work and dedication. I was always committed to whatever I was doing.
So you transferred to West Texas A&M.
Yep.
You have crazy stats from there. You have 47 total tackles, 22 solo tackles, a record 11 and a half tackles for loss of 30 yards, two sacks for 9-yard loss, two pass breakups, two fumble recoveries, five quarterback hurries, and you blocked five kicks.
Yeah,
Five
five
kicks.
kicks. Yeah.
Crap, man.
Again, it really wasn't anything like it's one of those parts of the game where people give up. Like they don't give up, they just take that play off. And I always was like, man, it like I think when it really happened the first time, I just remember we were playing Texas A&M Commerce, and I like they went to kick a field goal, and I remember I was lined up kind of towards the outside, and I kind of fell through and like fell on the first one. I fell, and I was like, damn, like I can get through that. Like I'm big then too. I'm like 300 pounds, D tackle. I was still fairly quick. So when I fell through the hole that first PAT, and I was like, damn, I can get there. So what I did the next time, I just like went for it, like full go, and I ended up getting through, and my hand I felt the ball hit my hand and just like ricocheted like backwards, and I was like, holy shit, I can block field goals. Like this is something like it's like a new achievement in a video game unlocked, or a new ability. But yeah, it was just crazy. And then ever since then, like I think I ended up I blocked another one out. I couldn't tell you which one it was. But then after I had like two blocked field goals, I remember like even like my teammates were being like more like, all right, we can like, I think probably the second one that I got, I remember just being like, I told my D tackles like, yo, hit this guy, and I can like kind of squeeze through and get through. And that's what happened. I blocked it. I got another block. And then after that, they would be like, what are we doing on field goal block? I'd be like, I don't know. They look kind of weak here. We just got to find out in the game. And I remember this guy who I played with, Ethan Westbrook. He was Division II Player of the year before I got there. He had like something ridiculous, like 19 sacks or like 18 sacks. He ended up going to the NFL and playing for the Rams for a couple years. I think Oakland as well, back when they were Oakland. And yeah, he would just be like, just let me. He had this like really soft voice. He was from Bay Area, and he'd just be like, just let me know where you need me to hit. I'm gonna hit him, and I'd be like, Ethan, smoke this dude, just clear him out, basically like a ruck. And I just like I take almost like a Euro step through and just fall in front of the kick, and then probably I'll be done with talking about blocking kicks after. But then the coolest one was we were playing against Angelo State, and it was punt safe. And so they keep the D line in. They don't bring the punt team. They just keep the defense out there. And I remember looking at my homeboy, and I was like, he was like, "Do we do Lapeer Woolrich?" He's like, "Do we rush this?" I was like, "I don't know. I'm gonna rush it." And I ran through, and as I'm coming up to the second layer, like the shield, they just moved out of my way. Like it was the weirdest thing ever. Like they just slid. I think their protection, they like just split. I think they were miscued on something, and I just was there, and it just hit me right in the like probably gut. Like I had my hands out, it hit me like in the gut, and then it bounced into my friend, my other D lineman Lapierre's hands. We took it for like I think it was like almost like a 60-yard like kick return. Felt like 60 yards. It was probably like 50.
When you were playing college ball, were you also playing rugby at the same time? Were you continually like doing both of those?
When I was at Colorado State, I was very I was in contacts with Ryan Walker, which I'm assuming it's Ryan because he was running the Colorado State page. Because when I went to Colorado, like the Rams rugby, um, but when I did like get there, they messaged me like, "Hey, we know you play rugby. Do you want to come play rugby for us?" And I would always be like, I really can't. So I kind of like just always had them in the back pocket. And when I knew I was transferring and I had the semester off, I was like, no brainer, going to play rugby. And went over there and played 8-man for them for the season. I think we lost to like Cal Poly in like one of the playoff games, like our first playoff game. But it was a great season. It was such a fun experience. I almost like if I could have afforded to just pay my way at school, and I might have honestly stayed playing rugby at Colorado State because I can't think of my coach's name at the time, but he was even like, we can maybe talk to boosters and see what we can do to keep you here to play rugby because you can have a future in it. And then we just couldn't come up with the funds. And West Texas came up, they visited me, they like were like, you can get this many years football. We play in a high conference, blah, blah, blah. And it just was the, better financial bet for me. And, another chance to, I didn't want to give up on football. I don't think either just yet.
You took that and you went off to Ireland. Like
Yeah.
how did that all
So
go down?
I came back home after I had a workout with the Dolphins, and I didn't make it. Like I was there one day, but it was one of those times where I was like, okay, football is it's done. I was content with leaving football where it was good. I had a good career in it. Let's do what I always said and go back to rugby and try and make this like I'm in probably I dropped I was just out of football training. I was heavy then, and then I dropped like down to like probably like 285, and I went from like 310 to like 285. So it is pretty significant weight off me for that time. And I was like, all right, I can like go back to rugby and give it its fair shot. And I played a club season at home for Weston Wandering Okapi. And then my teammate Stephen Sheehan said he was going over to Ireland after the season or in the August or something, like the season was in the spring, and then August came around. He's like, I'm going to Ireland. He's like, you can come with me if you want. I'm sure they would love to have you. So we went out there, excuse me, to Ireland. Because the way how that happened, I guess he had a friend when he played at Florida that came and went to school at Florida, but he was like a foreign exchange student, but he was from Gorey, Ireland. And I just tagged along, honestly, and went out there, kind of just winged it. We were living at a guy named Lars' house in this small little Irish little cottage house. It seemed like they were like almost like just straight up and down, so everything's really narrow.
Yeah,
And
everything's
us
tight.
two, Steven's a pretty decent sized boy as well. But we were just there, and then going to practice. It was cool because like practice was so consistent over there. Like, I mean, you talk about like okay rugby teams, but then you sometimes you go to like I remember when I would play certain men's teams. You go to their practice, and it's like some people show up, some people don't, or like you're playing. You have 15 guys, and that's it, and everyone's like picking position. You got to like be like, all right, I guess you're on the heavier side of the prop. Okay, have you played hook before? No. Okay, whatever. Just put you here because we just need a body. Where in Ireland, everything was so like you had so many different levels of guys, and there was just so many people at just training. And this isn't nothing like crazy sanctioned or anything like that, but it's just like the Leinster League they called it. So all the club teams in Leinster all play together. There's J1 and then there's J2 and J3 and J4. So you have enough guys pretty much for four teams essentially. So it was just it was cool to be in that atmosphere. They had their own weight room too. So at that time, even playing rugby, it's like, you go to the gym, train, do your work out there, and then show up to whatever field you guys kind of booked out for the night. But it was just so organized there, and and they just had so much knowledge of just like, structure and tackle. Like the one thing in Ireland, they're big on defense. It seemed like in like the club levels, like everyone was pretty, front and up, no matter how big or how small they were.
How do you go from then playing there to then getting a start at the MLR in the 2018 season? Like that just barely started.
Yeah.
How did you go from those two things to each other?
So that was the plan all along. It was like go to Ireland. Like we know the MLR is starting up here soon. Like we
Oh,
know, like
really?
yeah, like this is like August before like 2017. This is August 2017. So it's like MLR starting in like January essentially. And I knew that was happening, but I was like, listen, if I want to actually have a shot for a team to give me a shot, because I was big, I was athletic, I was like, a good athlete. I'm just getting done with like, pretty much 6 years of football training. I was always, I felt like I was, and then when even playing rugby games, it's like I was just, bigger than most men and like more like athletic and fast. And I knew that I was like, I have a shot that I can actually play in this league, but I need some more knowledge of the game. Like I need to like go somewhere where I'll be able to immerse myself in it instead of just trying to like find better competition in Florida. Back at that time, just at home. I have no money. Like I'm just chilling. I'm chilling. Like I'm out of college. Like I'm just like I don't know what direction, but this is a direction that I can get behind and I can raise a little bit of money for. So go over to Ireland. Like when I'm in Ireland, I before there I signed with Gavin McLeavy's like his agency MGM, I think it's called still. And I signed with him, and he was a close friend of mine. So I would whatever film I got in Ireland, I'd send it to him, and then he would go and give it to teams. And I guess he ran into Kimball, the owner in the GM at the time of the Warriors at an event or something like that. And he saw he had an MLR hat on. He's like, "Oh, I got a guy for you if you ever want to take a look at it." And he's over in Ireland playing right now, and literally just handed him over the tape, and they liked it. And then about three coming up to like just probably hitting 3 month mark in Ireland, Utah signed me, and I was like, I am going back home because I remember I was like severely sick with the flu or like a cold or something. And I was just dying. I think me and Steven were both kind of like being out of the country for so long, and like, we just got us and we're kind of living like house to house in a way at that point. It just wasn't a good vibe anymore. I mean, it was a good vibe, but it wasn't like, needed to go back home. Like we were just kind of there on just really holiday visas. So it was kind of that point. And for me, the Utah was ready to, sign me. So I was like, called my mom. I was like, Mom, we got to get a ticket right home right now. Spent about like 2-3 weeks at home. And then went over to Utah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. What sticks out from being here at Utah?
The fans, I mean, a lot of good. Like the one thing I always say about Utah is that like the people are so nice. Just a great group of people. I met a lot of friends and like people I'll like always stay in contact with from being out there. And just like the community, they have like a really good community in general. So them all being at a rugby game, and the rugby community is huge in Utah. So it's like that. It's just like you're like in a place where rugby is a mecca, where it's not like I mean, I would even say, being home, sometimes you'd be like, oh, I play rugby. They're like, oh, what do you do? You're like, rugby. They're like, oh, well, I've never even heard of that before. I've heard of it, but on TV or something.
Like you started a tournament, an online tournament, playing rugby 18 as the teams trying to like
Yeah,
get
yeah,
your
yeah, yeah. I mean, I didn't start it. I thought like I was playing the game. Like I bought Rugby 20, and I was like, yo, like I was just playing it at home, like on Xbox. And I was pretty sure I was one of the only people in the like one of the few people in the world that had the game, because you try and play online and you'd like wait days for matches. But I was playing a lot. Like they had like the franchise mode and stuff like that, like kind of like how Madden, you get the cards in the pack, and like there was no paid transactions in that game, which was pretty cool. It just depended on how well you did in the games. But Yeah, we're playing that, and then remember, like one of the our media guy Billy for the Warriors at the time, he was like, "Yo," he's like, "The league should definitely do something like where it's like the teams are playing like the rugby video game." I was like, "That'd be cool." I'm like, "I'm totally with that," and I guess that came to just like fruition. I don't know who told who or how that happened, but it happened, and I like they were like, "All right," he was like, "Okay, if you play we play," because he knew I played that game a lot. So he's like, all right, if we play in it, you gotta represent the Warriors. I was like, done, bro, easy. Then came time for when we had to pick the teams, or they got like selected our teams, and it was all randomized. And freaking I got friggin' Uruguay, and nothing against Uruguay, but in that game they're like a 61 overall or something like 65, and their fastest guy was like a 75 or a 78, something like really slow. I was like, how the hell can they make like a winger or somebody like slow? I think my one of my second rows were one of my fastest players. But I played in that, and I actually did. I feel like for myself, I did fairly well in it. With what I was given, I was just better at the game than some of the guys. But some of the guys just had like Fiji or New Zealand, and they just could like their guys were just like they like I'd hit a breakdown, I have to be like jamming the X button to get like a turnover. They just like tap it one time, their guy like pick up the ball. I'd be like, ugh. But I had some pretty fun victories over some people. And I remember the one I was just watching on my Instagram because I have it on there. It was when I was playing Mika Cruz when he was with the Raptors, and I remember I was playing against him, and it was like the final second of the game, and I ended up I turned over the ball, and I was like, "Damn!" I was like right there near the try line, and then I tackled him, and then I turned it back over and scored and won the game. No, that was just a super fun time, honestly, especially with COVID being down and like not even being able to play in the season, the games, but I still got to like participate somewhat in the virtual MLR season.
That you closed out your time here at the Warriors.
Uh huh.
What was that experience like? How did that go for you? How were you notified? Walk me through it,
Um,
man.
Yeah, no, I basically got a call from Brandon Sparks, the GM, and basically they were like, we want to go younger with our props, and we appreciate everything you've done for us, and things like that. And like it was hard probably at first, but it's not honestly not one of the being in sports my whole life pretty much. Sometimes you're gonna have those tough conversations, and it's not about so much how the conversation went, more so about like, okay, what's the next plan of action, like where do we go from here? And they were really cool, and they were like, listen, we know like you basically you live in the apartments here, like you can stay there for as long as you need to till you find something to do, or time to go home and things like that, so take your time, we know you work here and stuff like that. Like they were really cool on that end of it. um but it just sucked. The most part that sucked about it was just leaving my friends and stuff at that time that I was just so close with, and having the the uncertainty of what's next. But I mean, I kind of was in my head a little bit preparing for it, a little bit not preparing for it, but at the same time, like I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to do. And that's I knew Dallas was coming into the league, and I kind of was like, okay, I got to get in contact with Dallas somehow. For whatever reason, I just felt like they were like my best bet to go somewhere, playing time, things like that sort. So that's kind of where I was going with it. I didn't have an agent at the time either, so I was kind of doing everything my own, just kind of trying to get in communication with Elaine, the GM at the time. And yeah, I just contacted her. We talked for a while, and then before I knew it, it was I was signing with Dallas, and I was at that time too. I was moving out of Utah as well, so I was still there because I had my job. So I wanted to I was still working and stuff like that. It was the off season, so there was really no rugby going on anyway. Um, so yeah, I was just kind of vibing out there for a little bit. I knew I was going back home for at least probably by like October or August or September. Probably I was going to come back home. So that's kind of what I did. I just played it out however I needed to play it out to make everything work. Packed up my stuff. Had like 3 suitcases and my computer in my duffel bag, big duffel bag with a computer in it. Kind of funny, always walking through an airport. It's always funny to walk through an airport with a computer because you have to take it through check-in, and they look at you like you're crazy. They're like, what is that?" And you're like, "Oh, this is my gaming PC." And they're like, "Holy shit!" And most of the times, the TSA are looking at it like, "This is cool," like instead of like, "What is this?" But yeah, got out of there and went back home, and I went back home knowing I was going to Dallas too, so I knew I was only home for a little bit of time, and then get ready for the season. I could do it in the best part was I could do it in Florida where it's sunny all the time. The weather is really, I mean, sometimes you got to worry about a little bit of rain, but other than that, the rain comes and goes here.
I guess like what were kind of the things that you took away from being at Dallas for those years?
The things I've taken away from being at Dallas, we had, some struggles that first year. Um, and it was definitely a weird experience at certain times just because you're losing by so many points or like, things aren't going your way. We had a lot of unfortunate things kind of didn't go for us as far as like, coach not coming over. We only had really like one coach. We had some coaching done via internet. It was kind of just all over the place. It was very chaotic. But year two comes around with Dallas and it got a lot better. We got a lot more structure. We got um cool stuff like the coaching was on point. We had Mario Ledesma, Augustine, he was great. Lucas, we had another coach come in midway through the year. Lucas, he was awesome for me. I felt like, confidence builder and stuff like that, especially when I got sort of my more playing time towards the end of the year. But I definitely feel like I grew as a player a lot in Dallas and in year two. Um, and that's what I'm taking with me into this next year. All the stuff I've learned there. I mean,
What is like the thing that excites you the most about being in Miami?
I dreamed about like, wouldn't it be cool if like Florida had a rugby team and like being able to play for it? And it's like I'm living it right now. So it's like, that's probably the coolest thing for me. And then just the fact that it's like an MLR team in Florida, like from like, I mean, we're gonna be playing where the Miami Sharks will be playing in Fort Lauderdale, like right where at Auto Nation Stadium, I think it's called, or something like that, which is next to Inter Miami or in Inter Miami. So and that's all. And even though it's Inter Miami Stadium, drive pink and stuff like that, but that's North Fort Lauderdale. Like, grew up very close to it. This is like my area. It's like when the like even like Alec McDonald and Connor Burns and Damien. I met them today. I met Damien and Connor today because they're in town, and it's like I'm like I know like this is where I'm from. Like they're like, dang, this is cool. I'm like, yeah, I ran at this field 1,000 times. Welcome. And now it's gonna be fun, just like being. It's my hometown. My mom's here. Like it's awesome. Like my girl's here with me. My mom's here. It's closer to my family in New York to fly to. The easier flight for sure. Like it's like it's just cool. It's a cool experience for sure.
Do you feel like a connection to DeVito because of that? The New York Giants quarterback. He was
Eh,
living at home and still
yeah,
going
the chicken cutlets.
the
Yeah, I
chicken
do.
cutlets all up.
Honestly, because me and my friends will be like, "What? You too good for chicken cutlets? Like, you too good for some chicken cutlet?" Like, we used to say that all the time. My friend Russell, and we still say it to this day. Like, "Oh, you too good. This guy's too good for some chicken cutlets." He's like, "Mom made them too." So that's funny that when it's just funny how like it gets getting brought to attention now at this time of day. But yeah, I guess to some extent. I mean, right now we're like we just moved out of our actually a part or we hit me and my girlfriend Mickey, we had an apartment like really close to the beach and that lease came up. So we're like 2 weeks before we're moving to where the team housing is, or team apartments. And so we're like in between. So we're actually staying at my mom's right now in the other bedroom. So it's like it's very, my mom's doing my laundry. I just
That's
throw it out
awesome.
there. She's like, bring it in here. I'm on the computer. I'll just fold it while I watch YouTube videos. YouTube just goes on in the background. God knows what's saying if it's an ad or if it's like, an actual like conspiracy video or something. She's
We'll
into
just need to
that
put
stuff.
late for practice on it, and you guys can watch the podcast.
Oh, she'll be one of the first people to watch it. I'm sure like she'll even comment or something.
That's awesome. No, I'm so like I love that storyline. I think Miami should do something with you and showcase, local kid.
Yeah.
We got him playing for us. I think
And
it's
we got
fantastic.
got a couple. I think we got it's me, Chase, and I think we have one more local guy. I don't know yet, but yeah, we're all pretty. It's pretty cool.
Dude, that's so cool. That's fantastic. I plan on doing some traveling this year.
Uh
If I
huh.
come down to Miami, what are some things that I absolutely got to hit up before I can go home?
Okay, you gotta go to the beach, of course. Like enjoy the beach, take it in, go chill there, get food by it, something like that. You gotta go to Publix and get a Publix sub, whether the chicken tender. chicken tender sub, public sub, like with like buffalo sauce and ranch, just the best. Or you can just get a regular cold cut sub from over there too, which is really good. Um, I'd say definitely, if you got enough time to where you can like go to South Beach, walk around there, do that type of stuff. But if you like Latin food, like Cuban food, like Caribbean style food, there's a ton of that out here. And then I guess I mean, if you're going out for a night, you can never beat either Fort Lauderdale or Miami. To be honest, they're great times.
What are you streaming right now on your Twitch?
Call of Duty. I play a ton of
Yeah.
Call of Duty. I mean, honestly, I try every time I play, I try and stream. I mean, I stream at the same time with it just so I can get content. And if it's more so just like a open door. It's like when you go live on Instagram, it's like you don't know who's gonna jump in there, but somebody will. Somebody might come say what's up, or hey, do you need an extra one, or things like that. And it also helps me like if I have a sick clip, I'm like, thank God I was streaming so I can get that reaction and get that clip up, and I can like edit it. But like with like, dude, it's so crazy because back in the day I had so much time. It felt like obviously being single, but I just played video games during that time, which is pretty funny. I was just playing video games, and then like now having my girlfriend and my job and stuff like that, it's like I give time to those more. I get done with work, I want to spend time with my girlfriend and have a good time and stuff like that. And by the time I sometimes come in the stream, I'm just like, I don't even want to play video games tonight. I'm just gonna go to bed. But the times I do, I get on. We have a good time playing Call of Duty. I do want to play more games and stuff like that. So it's just like I said, it comes down to that time thing. Do I want to put on a different game to then like jump in that, or do I want to go on Call of Duty and just play with my homeboys and have a good time? Like me, my friend Russell, we play a lot. And then Mika Cruze will hop on. And the coolest part about playing video games and the whole Twitch thing, to be honest, is that I've made friends from this game, like from video games, like Fortnite and Call of Duty and all types of other games. And then like if there's a rugby game in that state that they live in, I tell them to come through. They come through. We get to meet in person, actually. So it's like always like you always seen those memes where like they've been friends for 20 years on World of Warcraft, and now they finally meet each other. And it's like one of those moments, except they get to come see me playing a rugby game or something like that. And it's like get to finally meet who I'm screaming at over a microphone and a key and like my like screen in person. But it's a good time.
Do you typically play? I guess you're typically on a console then, right?
No, so I play mouse and keyboard. So I have my mouse
Mouse
and my
keyboard.
keyboard. I have a controller here that I like an Xbox Elite controller that I play with if I'm playing like Fortnite or something, but I haven't played it in a while. And I just like playing on the mouse and keyboard. Honestly, me and my girlfriend, we have my old Xbox outside, and it has like Black Ops like 4 on it, and there's like a zombies, and we'll like play a couple rounds here and there, just like mess around. It's fun. I'm trying to get her to play more and more video games. I just got a new computer. Pretty freaking sweet computer, man. Pretty freaking sweet. Not gonna lie. It's my it's like my child right now. But I have my old computer, my old one, but she's just chilling here. And I keep trying to tell him, like, hey, maybe you should hook it up and we could play Call of Duty together. But I'm starting out with, the console and zombies, getting her to feel the controls out. I'll have a pro by next year sometime. No, I'm glad that I got to come on. I've been seeing like ever since I started following, and I've been seeing like my friends, all my other friends on the podcast. It's just something cool to be a part of, and I hope you have like great success with it, dude.